What's going on, y'all? So tonight we got a little video, nothing major. We're just gonna talk about this Trijicon RMR, right? And right now, that's dead. So it took about like 2.5 years for this optic to die. So the battery life is pretty good. I mean, I've been having it all types of different settings. Sometimes I have it on the auto setting, but either way, 2.5 years for this optic to die. It's a very reliable optic. However, there is a flaw in its design, right? So the thing that I would say is a flaw about this design is that whenever you need to change the battery, you have to remove these screws on top. I don't know if you can see them. Screws on top, and then the entire optic lifts up and off of the slide. Then you can access the battery from underneath. However, when you replace the battery, put the optic back on, screw it back in, your zero needs to be re-zero, right? You gotta go back in, you gotta take it to the range, and you make sure that your zero is where it should be because you have removed the optic from the slide, so you need to go ahead and re-zero it. Now, with Trijicon's newer optics like the Trijicon, I think it's the RCR, I believe so, and the Trijicon RMR HD, those batteries have batteries that are on top, so you can access them from removing the cap from that's on top instead of having to take it off. As well as when you purchase an RMR, you also need to purchase a sealing plate. So that means that if you don't have a slide that is milled, which is mine, milling means that the slide was actually cut for the print of the optic. If your slide is not milled, you need to purchase a mounting plate. If you have like a Glock MOS, you have to purchase a mounting plate. Then you also have to purchase that sealing plate, because if you don't have the sealing plate, then your battery and all the internal electric components are exposed. So that's kind of the weird thing about this optic. It's a tried and true optic. Haven't had any issues with it, but that's kind of like a flaw in its design. So if you're looking for a good optic, the Trijicon RMR is a great option. However, you just gotta be mindful of those things. It took a long time for this battery to die, and I mean, it's a good optic. The lens is very blue, like a greenish bluish tint to it. But I mean, that's common with optics. There's no major glare. There is a sort of fisheye effect with the lens, but that doesn't matter because it is a red dot. So when you are using your red dot, both your eyes are open, you're focusing on the target, you're placing that dot on it. And God designed the eye so that whatever your, I guess, non-dominant eye is, whatever eye is not truly focused on that reticle is picking up the target, and then your dominant eye is placing that reticle right on top. You're like seeing two frames almost. That's how the eye was designed. So when you're using that optic, both eyes are open, boom, you're putting that dot right on your target. You're focusing on your target because now you have a way bigger field of view using a red dot as opposed to trying to focus on your front sight and getting kind of tunnel vision on that. Nothing wrong with iron sights, however, it's 2025, we're running red dots.
The way of the future.
So I'm gonna go ahead and change this battery out. And yeah, recommend it? Yes, I recommend the Trijicon RMR. However, I would like to try out that RMR HD. Now, I'm not a huge fan of open emitters, but they do work pretty good. But you gotta just be mindful of what's getting up in here. I prefer closed emitters, but that's me. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this out and switch it up, and I'll take it to the range in the next day or so to get it zero back in, baby.
A few moments later.
All right, you guys, so if you learned anything from that first portion of the video, please go ahead and like and subscribe. It's gonna help the mission out a lot of trying to build this page and getting people to train more and just learn some stuff, right? It's always good to stay learning. A lot of this stuff is very simple, and as you do it, as you get more familiar, it's just gonna come naturally. So I intended on removing the optic to change the battery, right? However, what I realized was that I do not have an Allen key or really an Allen bit that is small enough to fit in those holes without stripping it. I'm not gonna mess with it. And some of you might say, well, dude, why don't you just use an Allen key? And this is a great learning moment. So anyone who owns an optic, hear me out, especially if you're very new to this. My guys out there that have been doing this for a while, you already know what it is. But if you are installing an optic onto a firearm, you cannot just get an Allen key, slap it on, and just tighten the screws, right? It's not gonna work. There is so much pressure, and this is clear, it's been clear. There's so much force happening when you're firing this gun, and all that force is affecting these screws here. I've seen guys at the range, we're training, and they use the Allen key to tighten down their optic, and it doesn't happen immediately, but over time, that optic will snap off and you'll see it fly across the range. Because when you install an optic, you need to use, I use fix-it sticks. It's not a paid promotion. This is just the real deal stuff. I use fix-it sticks because you can now torque that screw down to the proper pounds per square inch. Now, people have, every optic is kind of different. They have different recommendations on how tight you want to make those screws, but usually and typically it's between 15 and 20 pounds per square inch. But it varies on the optic, but that's typically where it's at. So if you're going to install an optic, watch some videos, do some research, and find out what the proper pounds per square inch is so that you can install it correctly and you don't damage your optic and shear off those screws inside, because that's what happens. Take your time, get these torques, these torque bits, so that you don't strip the screws and then you can't remove it. Take your time, do some research, learn something. But this is Diligence. God bless you guys. We won't be switching this out today, and that's all right. We got plenty of other options to carry. And so, yeah, if you learned anything, like and subscribe. That's gonna help this mission a lot, help the brand out a lot. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you for your time. I don't take it for granted. And thank you for everyone who's subscribed to the page. I really appreciate you guys. God bless. Enjoy your afternoon, morning, night, day, whatever it is. Take it easy.